That was stopped the first time, and maybe Lorenzo Neal pushing him in the back helped him get that first down. Nevertheless, they hang on to the football. It's first down.
And this vital Tennessee drive stays alive. Play action, McNair with the rollout. He's got a man to midfield. Mike Jones corralling Jackie Harris, who's had a very significant contribution today, and he's picked up another 6 yards there.
You know, remember in the first half, Nick, the number of times that Tennessee went down the field to wide receivers. McNair would throw a good pass and receivers would drop it. It's like they've lost confidence in the wide receivers, and it's strictly the tight ends, Eddie George and McNair right now, almost forgetting about the guys on the outside.
Wycheck is the motion man. Eddie George blasts his way straight through. And anytime you see Eddie George going through the line of scrimmage with daylight in front of him, the alarm bells go off.
Yep. Well, it was that big run against Indianapolis in that second game, 68 yards right up the middle. He just creased it, Nick, and he has the ability to run away from everybody. Those eyes still look electric to me.
And he'll always win a one-on-one battle with Billy Jenkins. That's why Devin Bush had to come in and help.
Well, you see how low he gets going through that hole. Nobody's going to get underneath Eddie George, even though he's so big.
They've moved the chains again. It's at the 45-yard line. The clock continuing to run. 9.5 left now, just under. And George will drop back to pass. And steps up and throws and fires and has a wide open Isaac Bird. Tackled by Billy Jenkins, but first down for Tennessee. And Bud Adams says, yeah, we've seen this before.
And Nick, I'm getting chills up here. I'm getting goosebumps because the momentum is contagious. And McNair, a gutsy call down the field. Great protection from the offensive line. Isaac Bird with big shoes to fill, filling in for Yancey Thigpen today. Finds the open hole in the zone. Well thrown by Steve McNair.
Good for 19 yards. The ball on the 24-yard line. And this Rams defense has been out there a long time. And McNair comes to the sidelines. And a timeout taken by Tennessee. So they've burned a couple on this drive. But nevertheless, the Tennessee Titans, the underdogs, the fighters, are clawing their way back into this.
Sponsored by NASDAQ.
Field, as much as this Rams team has been on the field defensively since that touchdown, you start to tire and wear down.
Well, not just that, Nick, but the offense has been off the field, and you lose your rhythm as an offense when you're sitting down for a long time.
On first down, McNair, little stumble. The pressure comes,
he's got it.
And he's got his man. He's got Jackie Harris again, and Harris can stay on his feet down inside the 5 before he's pushed out of bounds. Devin Bush, Todd Collins, what a play. 6th catch of the ball game for Jackie Harris.
And the tight ends have been a huge part of this offense all year. They use them in so many different ways, but this play, Nick, was set up because Steve McNair is so fast in pulling to his right and drawing the whole defense over there. Just over the outstretched arms of Grant Wistrom. Look, Kevin Long's center, trying to stumble his way down the field. Harris pushing him out of the way. Here they are down in Eddie George territory again.
He had 26 catches in the regular season. He's had 13 in the postseason as Harris. And they're banging on the door now, the Tennessee Titans. First and goal at the 3. Eddie George country it is. George spins his way for about half that yardage. London Fletcher and Billy Jenkins there on the stop.
Well, they're not getting fancy down here, Nick. I mean, last time they were down here, they went right up the middle behind that 17-year veteran Bruce Matthews and Kevin Long. Benji Olsen going right down and right behind the middle of that line. Lorenzo Neal, number 41 in the backfield, is an excellent lead blocker.
Second down and goal. Eddie George again, tiptoeing and bouncing off tacklers and almost in, and he is in! Touchdown, Tennessee! And this place comes alive.
We've been talking about the determination of Eddie George all day, and he's living up to everything that we're saying.
Just look at the emotion on Eddie George's face. Listen to these fans. And even though they have the lead, you feel the pressure is now on St. Louis.
Boy, he stumbles here. Look at the balance and the strength right here. And now he knows he has to use those big legs.
Look at him working Jeff Scanina there. That's a defensive lineman.
Yeah, backed him right into the end zone, Nick.
Del Greco needs to make the extra point and does. And the Tennessee Titans, who look down and out at 16 points adrift, have pulled this one to within 3, but we got flags on the field.
Well, they may say that that knee was down, Nick, going into the end zone.
Boy, Del Greco's in the middle of it. This one seems to be against on the extra point.
Yeah.
And that too good news for the Rams. They'll be able to boot this one into the end zone, and St. Louis will start from their own 20-yard line. And Eddie George with his second touchdown of the ball game. There's the knee.
Yeah.
You're right, Brian. They should have pulled this one back, but it's going to stand, and we got a ball game.
NFL coverage in association with NASDAQ.
February on Sky Sports. Preparations for Euro 2000 and the first silverware of the millennium.
With their normal offensive attack, which is win this game with Kurt Warner, the quarterback, change it up, give it to Marshall Faulk. They're going to stay with the game plan.
Outside looking kick here, Nick.
And they're just kicking it into the space. And it's fielded and then pitched back, and a drop ball. What are the Rams playing at?
Boy, that worked in Tennessee's favor right there. Pitching
Why
it
do
back
you
to
start
Tony
taking
Horn.
chances like that when the pressure's on anyway? I'm not sure what Craig Hendrick was trying to do with that kick. And Frank Gans is saying, fellas, as we look again at this knee, and Brian, you called it before we went away, and you're absolutely right.
That should never have been a touchdown. But maybe Dick Vermeil doesn't want to take a chance of losing the timeout by challenging the play.
Brian, listen to this crowd.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're on their feet, Nick. This is exactly what you want in the world's biggest game. Total excitement from both sides, but these Titan fans.
It is bedlam in this stadium.
It's very difficult to operate your offense in this noise.
And Warner with the pitch back. And Falk is clobbered, just clobbered by Javon Curse after a couple.
And that's the inspiration for this team right here tonight, is Eddie George.
Well, let's have another look at what happened here. And London Fletcher pitching it back to Tony Horn. This could have been an absolute disaster.
Well, that's something that you never practice. So it's something that they're very unaccustomed to doing, and it looked that way. Rams are lucky they recovered that fumble.
Georgia Frontier, we see there, the owner
of the Rams.
It is a nerve-wracking Super Bowl now.
Well, Kurt Warner has been the MVP of this league this year, and it's on his shoulders to move this team.
And it's another one batted down, that one by Jason Fisk. And now look at the pressure.
You saw Dick right there. Come on, Kurt. We need you to step up. We need you to make that play. And nobody can explain that pressure, Nick, that's on Kurt Warner or on this football team right now when they had so many chances to run away with this game. Tennessee stopped the Rams last series. Here they are in another key third down situation.
An absolute bedlam in the stadium. I mean, I've never heard a Super Bowl like this. I've never heard a regular season home crowd like this. It is chaos. And Warner facing a third and long, steps up, fires, incomplete, 3 and out.
Great pressure.
And look at Mike Martz going mad upstairs.
They got a blitz. Eddie Robinson on a blitz.
This game has been turned on its head.
That's the last 2 series by the Rams. They've been 3 plays and out.
5 straight incompletions for Warner.
Kurt Warner on the verge of setting a Super Bowl record for pass yardage. Unable to make a play right now.
And Mike Haran's got to get this one away, and Derek Mason will fancy his chances with this one. No, he doesn't. He takes a backward step, and it takes a great bounce all the way back to the 47-yard line. Everything going Tennessee's way. They've got the ball again. 6:17 left.
That's Big Mo right now on the Titans' back.
And Dick Vermeil, he's feeling the heat. Who would have believed this? Brian, we were talking about the potential for a blowout here when it went 16-0. And now everything seems to be in Tennessee's favor. They're 3 points adrift. They have the ball and they have a ton of time. What a game this has become. kind of game that Kevin Greene would love to be playing in. McNair is going to take off, and does, and evades tacklers as well, and finds a hole and a seam down to the 42. First down. Grant Wistrom eventually stops him, 11 yards.
He's amazing, Nick. He just broke a tackle. Ray Agnew in the backfield, broke away from him. Javon Curse, their emotional leader on defense. Watch Ray Agnew, number 99, has got him right. Got a missed tackle right there, another missed tackle.
And a first down into Ram territory. 5:41 left. Eddie George will try and pound away again, and does. He was just one tackle away from breaking a big one. 7 yards. McNair 50 yards rushing today. Eddie George closing in on 90.
Nick, he's determined, and you get the feeling that he's getting ready to break the big one.
And look at that. There's that graphic we were talking about earlier. The biggest ever comeback in Super Bowl history was 10 points. Tennessee still have work to do, but everything seemingly flowing their way. They're at the 35-yard line. And Eddie George gets it again and won't get much. He was stuffed. London Fletcher read that one all the way and came up and just nailed him. And they need a stand defensively here, St. Louis.
Well, they do right here, Nick. You know, they're right on the verge of Al Del Greco field goal range if they do get stopped. But again, Tennessee has been converting third downs. This offensive line is taking control of this game. Good double team over there behind Bruce Matthews. And they're wearing him down. This is Eddie George type of game. Third and short, this is when everybody stacks the middle of the line. Sometimes you can break one to the outside.
This is a big play as well. It's probably out of Del Greco's field goal range, so they need this, and it's a long two. And McNair will throw, and he has Jackie Harris, who fumbles it. And then the Tennessee Titans recover. They got the luck of the bounce again. Are they going to say it's incomplete? Isaac Bird covered it up. Are they going to say Harris didn't have control?
Looks like it's a first down, Nick. He had control.
They've ruled it as a fumble.
Fumble, and Isaac Bird, who filled in for Yancey Thigpen today, was all hustle. That ball is stripped by Billy Jenkins. The ball is out. And Isaac Bird, what hustle and alertness on his part to come up with that loose ball. That's bigger than any catch he's had today.
On the ground again, Eddie George just pounding away Mike Jones. Billy Jenkins there on the stop. And the pressure switches to Al Del Greco, who's had a pretty rough day.
Well, you know, you get the feeling right now that this Rams defense cannot stop Tennessee. They've been on the field almost the entire second half. They're getting worn down right now. You can see this machine cranking it up here.
And now the clock is becoming a factor. If Tennessee score a touchdown here, St. Louis will not have much time to respond. Second down.
Eddie George out of the backfield.
He's flared out wide to the left, and McNair is looking in that direction, and he gets a man. It's a completion to Isaac Bird, but Dexter McCleon read that one all the way, and they won't get much, if anything.
Well, this is a huge third down, and Tennessee has been so good on third downs now in the second half. And they're thinking touchdown. They do not want this game to go into overtime or the Rams to have an opportunity to come back.
I'm sure they're thinking end zone. They've got to think end zone here. Not on this play, but certainly on this drive.
You go for the win, Nick. You go for the win. You got El Del Greco, a very competent kicker, to get it to 16-16 if you have to.
Third down and long. Third down and 7. Another big play for both these teams. McNair out of the shotgun. He fires. He's looking. He's overthrown. Badly overthrown Frank Wycheck there, and he knows it.
That might be his only bad pass of the second half, Nick.
And it means
it'll be about
a
42 or 43-yard attempt right here, Nick.
This is the guy who missed from 46 and who had one blocked.
Yeah, missed 2 field goals today. Of course, Todd Light blocked the second one.
Looks like a 43-yarder. This to tie it up. That one's on its way, and Del Greco, the veteran, has nailed it. And Super Bowl 23, I'm getting so carried away with the scores. Super Bowl 34 is knotted up at 16 apiece.
Well, that drive by Tennessee was set up by a short punt by the Rams, and then a couple of great executed plays by McNair and some good running by Eddie George, and we got ourselves a great ball game.
Who'd bet against the underdogs now, but then again, who'd bet against Kurt Warner, who's come up big time all season long, including in that desperate struggle last week against Tampa Bay when the chips were down. He came up trumps.
Well, the Rams, who only won 4 games a year ago, and the Titans, who have had 3 straight years of 8-8, down to the final 2 minutes and 12 seconds. The games are knotted up. The 2 best teams in each division going at it. So far, Nick, you know, we have had no turnovers today. You know, and
yeah, we've had some close shaves as well, haven't we?
We've had a lot of opportunities for them. You know, as aggressive as Kurt Warner wants to be right now with this ball, to win the game, you can't risk any turnovers. We talked about it early, Nick. This return game is important. Tony Horn, a dangerous return man.
And Horn takes a shallow kick at the 10, and he's past the 20. And he's got past a tackler, and then is downed. And so, with 2:05 left in the ball game, Kurt Warner gets reasonable field position.
Well, they found the end zone the only time last week, late in the 4th quarter against Tampa Bay, to win that game. Certainly the Rams could have avoided this pressure situation had they taken advantage of some great red zone opportunities early in this game, but you can't think about that now. This has been aggressive offense all year. They have to stay aggressive.
And look at that turnaround.
Yep. Tennessee defense playing right up on those Ram wide receivers
with
down.
8 defensive backs in as well. They're expecting the ball to be thrown, and it is. And it's caught by Isaac Bruce, and Bruce is gone.
Touchdown.
What a play from Kurt Warner.
Oh.
That's how you respond to pressure.
I said those Tennessee defensive backs were playing right up on those Rams receivers, challenging them, and the Ram wide receivers won the challenge.
73 yards. That takes him past Joe Montana for most passing yards in a Super Bowl. It might just have won this Super Bowl for St. Louis.
Working on Denard Walker. It was underthrown. Isaac Bruce, great job of coming back. Now watch this block downfield by Azakim, allowing Bruce to find the end zone.
Jeff Wilkins will attempt the extra point. It's good. My voice is going, Brian. It's a 7-point lead once again for St. Louis. The only saving grace there for Tennessee.
Yeah.
They still have 1:54 left, but they burned a couple of timeouts in the 4th quarter already.
Well, look,
But
Kurt
what a
Warner.
play.
He actually underthrew that because of the pressure by Javon Curse. Great effort to come back on an underthrown ball by Isaac Bruce.
And you saw Brenda Warner there celebrating. We questioned Kurt Warner. We said, could he come back? I said, he's come back all year long. That is the way to come back when you're really struggling. And that Rams team has been on its knees in this 4th quarter.
Well, you think back to that postseason game against the Minnesota Vikings. First play of the game, 77 yards to Isaac Bruce. They've been doing it all season long. Kurt Warner never stops believing in himself in any game, in any situation. And certainly the MVP of this league just played like the MVP of the league.
But it's not over yet. It is not over yet.
It's not over, Nick, but at the same time, if the Rams hold on, Kurt Warner, who is the MVP of this league, should be the MVP of this game.
I think so. He's over 400 yards unofficially. I think Joe Montana's record's gone. Well, I know Joe Montana's record's gone, but it's not about Super Bowl records. It's about winning it. And that was the kind of play that wins championships.
It wins championships because you never get conservative. You stay aggressive. Last week, Mike Martz thought that he was conservative in his calling against Tampa Bay and promised that that would not happen again this week.
Isaac's playing the smart game, checking in with the owner.
Tennessee was in a situation against Buffalo in their first postseason game and came up with a razzle-dazzle play, a throwback from Frank Wycheck to Kevin Dyson to win the game.
Kurt Warner's numbers, 24 of 40 attempts, 414 yards. That's a Super Bowl record. To add to all the other records he's smashed this year.
Kind of fitting, isn't it, Nick?
It really is.
But how popular is NFL Europe going to be this year, Nick, after the success of Kurt Warner?
Can there be anybody in the league that says, oh, it's not worth sending guys to Europe?
Boy.
Or can there be anybody in Europe who says, oh, that's just a Mickey Mouse league?
Well, that league will never be more popular, and if players want to establish themselves and get a chance, that ball is cocked like he's going to squib this ball right here, Nick.
Wilkins has good range. Well, what's he going to do with this one? They don't want to risk a return. Mason can be dangerous. He's got it at the 2. If ever Mason needed a big return, it's now. He gets it to the 20. The flag comes in, and I've got a feeling that one's going to be going against the Tennessee Titans as well. There look like some downfield holding there.
Yeah, they're backing that flag up, Nick.
There it is.
They start Tennessee with bad field position.
With 1:48 left. And Alan Lowry's unit. And this is where Tennessee really have a problem. They don't have a play quite like this one. They just don't have it. They don't have the receivers.
No, they don't, but they keep finding ways, though, Nick. They found a way to beat Buffalo. They found a way, you know, to win their second game against Indianapolis. They made a kickoff return that helped them that game. It was Javon Curse hitting Kurt Warner as he threw that pass to Isaac Bruce. And sometimes the best thing that can happen to a wide receiver is have that ball underthrown.
Tennessee at their own 12. The clock is their worst enemy now. 1:48. They've got to be thinking sidelines all the way. They have one timeout. They burned a couple early in this second half. That's going to come back to haunt them. And from the shotgun, McNair has a lot of time. He has an open receiver, which is Derek Mason, but it's down the field. And the clock will continue to run.
You know, in this situation, Nick, defenses have a tendency to get conservative, to protect against the long pass. This Rams team had a Detroit team beat this year and gave up a play on 4th and 28.
McNair, they're not putting any pressure on him now, and they can get themselves out of bounds there. Frank Wycheck does just that. Will pick up 15 yards. 1:20 left.
Nick, this Rams team was winning against Detroit in Detroit this year, and Detroit was faced with the 4th and 28 situation. They played a zone, a protective zone, and Detroit ran right by him and made the play on 4th down, ended up winning that game. And much a situation just like this.
A game we saw live on Skysports as well. Regular watchers will recall that. Will lightning strike twice? And McNair just working exclusively from the shotgun now. And he can't find Kevin Dyson, another ball that just really wasn't catchable.
Well, that's where you want your quarterbacks to be accurate. You know, and that's the area that Steve McNair has to work on to be a complete quarterback. We haven't seen the wild heroics from Steve McNair yet today, but he's capable of doing it every time he drops back. Marshall Faulk in suspense.
4 wide receivers. George in the backfield. McNair from the gun. No pressure. He's got all the time in the world, but he can't find anybody. Now he's going to take off. And that's what he does so well. It's danger time for the Rams, and eventually he's corralled by Dre Bly.
And a flag.
Kept in bounds, but a flag.
Yeah, that's going to be against the Rams.
And that stops the clock, too.
Yes.
And Bly, the rookie, very unhappy, and that's another 15. Oh, that's a huge mistake from Bly.
Great point by you, Nick. It stops the clock right there. You're going to see, watch, we're talking about the heroics of Steve McNair. Now watch him become like a fantastic running back.
And there it is. That's 15 yards.
Boy, did he get his hand on the face mask?
Well, certainly the way the head jerked would suggest it did. See if we can get it from another angle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's there.
Oh, yeah. Well, he got it off there pretty quick, too. I don't know if that should be a 15-yard time. It was certainly accidental.
It was the jerk of the head, I think, that caught the officials' attention.
Tennessee in Ram territory, though.
But still 45 yards out with 65 seconds left and a 7-point deficit.
Rams offsides, free play.
And they get it, but it stays in bounds. Frank Wycheck, but the flag, Mike Jones on the stop.
Well, they should take the play. The clock stops.
The clock stops again. It's not over. Tennessee, I don't know if they're going to win this game or not. They just never quit.
No, you know, if you... Well, the Rams are certainly helping him out in this final drive right now, Nick.
That's 20 yards in 2 plays of penalties.
And you know, almost from the beginning of the playoffs, when they had that trick play on the kickoff return against Buffalo, you started thinking, is this the team of fate? Is this a team where it's just, they're just destined to go? Because they keep finding a way to win games, Nick. You know, championship teams shouldn't give up the length of the field scores to teams with no timeouts.
And this drive started at Tennessee's 12 with 1:48 left. Warner, or rather McNair, with a lot of time, but he can't find anyone. Now he's going to have to take off and look for the sidelines again, and he gets there. But the Rams played that one pretty smart.
Well, at least, you know, McNair has got a lot of savvy. He knows how to get out of bounds to stop the clock.
Mike Marks on the right there can only stand and
He's
look.
done his job. You know,
Yeah.
for the most part, his job is done. And the records continue to mount here on both sides of the ball.
2nd down and 3. 49 seconds left. That's the key number for Tennessee. They got a man again, and it's Kevin Dyson to the 32-yard line. Now, do they take that timeout?
I would stop the clock right here and then start taking my shots to the end zone.
Well, they're not. They're keeping it going. The suspend now. That's smart play from McNair just to stop the clock with 31 seconds remaining. But this is pretty much the last 4 downs for the Tennessee Titans. Oh, who'd be a coach now? Aren't you glad we're up here?
Nobody can sit down. You know, Kurt Warner can't sit. Nobody's sitting on the bench. A lot of guys, I've been on that situation where teams are coming back. You're on the offense. You've done your job. You really can't even stand to watch.
2nd and 10.
Kevin Dyson at the bottom has a lot of speed, Nick, number 87.
Chris Sanders, number 81, in the ball game as well. McNair looking. And it's into, oh, it's almost intercept. Flag comes in. Dre Bly almost made amends. I thought he had it. But we got the flag as well. It's against the Rams again. Can you believe this?
Well, that's the 3rd penalty on this drive by the defense.
That is an unbelievable flag at this stage of the game.
The Rams can't do anything right. They can't come up with the interceptions. They can't stop from the penalties. Well, that's their best rusher right there. Kevin Carter out of the game. That's a big, that really helps that Tennessee offensive line.
Look at the bottom of the screen. They just lined up in the neutral zone. Amazing. 2nd down and 5. 27 yards out. The pressure comes. McNair can't find his man. He was looking for Eddie George. It just hit Eddie George in the back. And now it's 3rd down, and now the pressure's really on with 22 seconds left.
Well, those short passes don't do him any good at this point, Nick. You've got to go down the field with this ball. You know, you want to put pressure on this Rams team. The way you put pressure on them is go down the field. Eddie George never knew this ball was coming to him.
But hasn't this been the Achilles heel of the Tennessee Titans all year long? They just don't have that deep game.
Now they find other ways to compensate, though, Nick.
Well, they've got 3 wide receivers to the right, to the bottom of your screen, with George in the backfield. McNair again out of the gun. And McNair's going to take off. No, he isn't. He thinks better of it.
He's got Eddie George open.
And he can't find him, and the pressure's on, and George is in big trouble. McNair got out of it.
He's got him.
And he's got his man to the 10 with 8 seconds left. They've got to take that timeout. 5 seconds left.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
How did Steve McNair get out of that?
Is that Superman there? That is a Houdini act. They've got 1 shot to the end zone here, Nick.
This is it. This is 1 play.
Nick, this is the best Super Bowl in the history of this game right here.
Oh, I'm not going to disagree with that.
In 34 Super Bowl games, none has been more suspenseful than this. How did he get out of that 2-man tackle there and then to find Kevin Dyson?
And Dyson fighting for extra yards. Well, they're wrapped up there by McLeon. I thought he got extra, but he didn't. McLeon did a good job of staying with it, but that's the play.
Bounce. Look at that right hand, squeezing that football, holding on to the ball, as he tries to regain his balance.
Jay Williams thought he had him, but he didn't. And that's a great job by McLeon.
Wow. He's looking at that play one more time on his wrist there, Nick.
They've tacked another second on. I'm not sure what difference that's going to make.
And it's basically one play. One play where everything's got to go right for Tennessee, and all St. Louis does right now is all they need to do is knock that ball down or tackle Steve McNair.
Super Bowl 34 has come down to this.
4 wide receivers here, Nick.
I can hardly look, Brian. I don't know how these players can. McNair, he looks in the end zone. He's got him. He's short. He's short. Dyson is short, and it's over.
It's over. It ended at the 1-yard line, Nick.
It could not be more dramatic.
Wow.
I'm not sure I've ever seen a game with that much drama.
Valiant effort on both sides, but that man has to be the MVP.
And who made the tackle to stop it? Because that guy deserves a little MVP nomination as well, because Dyson was inches away. What a second half. What a game. What a season.
For Frank Wycheck, you get down that